Hey guys, it's FB2X here, bringing you another video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. And today I want to start a new series. I'm going to be putting out a video like this every Sunday, starting today. It's going to basically just have me, maybe not ranting, but just talking about something within the game that bugs me a bit. So I, I I'm not saying that the game is bad or anything. The game is amazing. I love it. I play it every day. But it does have its shortcomings, right? So what I want to talk about this week actually is how there's some SSRs, some older, some really old, and some newer that really need some awakenings, so that we can we can do something with them, because most of us have some of these sitting in our box just kind of collecting dust and not getting any use. At least that's the case for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and hop right in. And the first unit that I actually want to talk about is defending the Sanctuary West Supreme Kai. She doesn't have a great leader skill. It's only 80% to all stats and key plus 2 to Realm of Gods. And there's already an abundance of Realm of Gods leads, so we really don't need another one. Um, Her super attack greatly raises her attack, but only for one turn, and she does supreme damage to the enemy. Uh, Her passive skill is actually where what I wanted to talk about is she gives Realm of Gods category allies attack and defense plus 40 already. Plus 40. And chance to perform critical hit plus 7%. So if they awakened her, would they change this to 50? Is that the new meta? Is is that going to be the new meta where it's a category support, like a summonable category support that gives attack and defense plus 40% and then gives crit chance as well? Imagine that. So yeah, that's why I had her first. I thought it was an interesting point of view to have, or not point of view, but just an interesting thought that I had. Um, anyway, moving on. The second card I wanted to talk about was actually Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta GT here. Um, he came out on Global before he came out on JP. So I'm going to talk about him, and I'm going to talk about this Vegeta, this physical one, who is basically the same at the same time. They came out at the same time. They're both global firsts, and they're actually both not that bad. They're Super Saiyan 3 category leads, and tech and physical, respectively, depending on which one it is. And so the tech one causes supreme damage to enemy, and he raises defense by 30% for 6 turns. So they could just get rid of that even and just let him stack defense. Just let him stack it, and then you could leave this as it is, and then plus an additional attack plus 60% for 5 turns after being attacked. Maybe just change this to 6 turns, and that's it. Give him some decent stat buffs here. Not not crazy, but And guess what category they're both on? They're both on Super Saiyan 3. That's a category that could use a buff. Am I wrong? I mean, I don't. I think it could use a buff. So we'll just go over the physical one real quick. He causes supreme damage to the enemy, and he raises attack for 6 turns. So that's actually pretty good. So again, just change this to 7, and that's fine. And then for his passive skill, he has attack and defense plus 70% and damage received minus 40% when guard is activated. If they awakened him and they got rid of this when guard is activated and maybe made this 50, or 50 isn't great, but 60, imagine 60 on him. And then, maybe give him 77% here, attack and defense buff. And he'd be pretty good too. Help a lot of people clear Super Saiyan 3 Super Battle Road, I'm sure. Um, Either way, moving on. The next one is this cell. I don't have this cell, and I've never been able to run them. The only thing I really wanted to get into about this cell is the fact that he's different on global and JP. So even if he ever did get an awakening, uh, he wouldn't be as good on global as he is on JP because he gets 5% defense extra on JP for every key sphere, and he also raises his own defense rather than lowering the enemies like he does here on global. So keep him in your box maybe for collection purposes, but there's no need to invest anything other than that into this cell or have this cell for any other reason than for collection purposes, really, especially on global. Um, Next is Ominous Designs Demigra. He is key +3 when HP is 50% or above. Really old bad leader skill. He basically just works as a stunner. He does supreme damage, rare chance to stun, and then he has a high chance to stun the attacked enemy. So even on a normal attack, you can stun. You don't even have to super with him. But this man has been around for a very very long time, a couple of years, almost coming up on 4 years now. So he desperately needs an awakening, I would say. Um, they could, I don't really know what they could do because he has no buffs right now whatsoever. They need to give him some buffs because his base stats aren't, they're not great, but they're not awful either. But they could do something with him. Maybe make him like a good, a better stunner, I would say. Um, so next, I'm going to talk about these two together because they came out at the same time, and I think they're going to awaken these two at the same time. So Launch and Oceanus, uh, they came out uh, on the 24th of January in 2020. So I don't think we're going to get the awakenings anytime soon. I think they're going to come with um, the whenever JP decides to do the next big celebration of, or whenever they have a big celebration of Gogeta and Omega, or GT in general, they're gonna do Omega and Gogeta probably, right? And they'll probably awaken these two cards as well. And they're both already pretty good, even at just base UR form, you know. So the next card I wanted to talk about was a meaningful strike Super Saiyan 2 Trunks. So the first reason I wanted to talk about this card is I'm gonna go to Trunks cards here, and this is this is not what I wanted. Nope. Okay, name T. Okay, here's Trunks. Let's go check out Super Saiyan 2 Trunks. Teen. Oh, there's one. Why? Why is that? Why is there only one Super Saiyan 2 Trunks in the whole game? In the whole game. I'm not really sure. And he could be a decent support because he already has attack and defense plus 25%. You could give him key +2 and then make this plus 30% and 5% chance to crit, and now he's a new age support. And we're all set, right? Even you could give him attack for 5 turns or something of the sort, and he'd be a little better too. But this man desperately needs an awakening too because he's collecting dust in everybody's inbox, right? I know he's like way at the back of my collection, and I wonder why he isn't awakened sometimes. Like in my collection, I'm saying, and then I'm like, oh right, they never awaken this card for no reason really. So that's it for base SSRs in the video. Next, I wanted to talk about maybe not maybe, but a couple base SR cards that could get some awakenings. And what gave me this idea was actually there's a Super Saiyan God Goku um, that you can actually awaken from SSR, or sorry, from SR form, a summonable SR, and he eventually awakens into uh, here he is. He eventually awakens into God form. So he's white hot face off Super Saiyan Goku. I memorized that name a long time ago because I can't remember what banner it was exactly, but I pulled, I don't know how many of these Gokus on that banner, and I was losing my mind. But if you awaken him, he actually goes God, right? And then they gave him a second awakening, so you could bring him all the way to level 120, right? And while he's not amazing, he is a support type, right? It's only key plus 2 and attack plus 25. They could literally do that with the trunks that I was just talking about. Like, just give them this. Just give them this, minus the physical part, and you're fine. Um, but these are some SR cards that I think they could do this with. So the first one is Kid Buu, this strength one. He's not great. He causes supreme damage to the enemy and lowers defense, and his attack, or sorry, his passive is attack and defense plus 70, and he disables the enemy's guard. Um, so this is not a very great skill. So what if you just gave him? You can't really give him super effective against all types, um, but you could maybe do something else with this, and it might work. I'm not really sure. The next one is this strategic extermination Majin Buu with Piccolo absorbed. We don't have a good Majin Buu with Piccolo absorbed. There's the transformation Buu that has that form, but he doesn't have that name. So we don't have a Buu of this name. So why not just give this guy an awakening, and then we have a Buu of that name, and we're all set, at least for now, until you release an actual one that people will probably summon on. I think I would summon on that. Would you guys summon on that? I'd probably summon on that. But this guy is actually not even that bad. I mean, his stats are terrible, sure, and his leader skill is beyond fodder, but he does recover 30% of damage dealt his health, right? So if you give him a little buff stat wise, you give him another awakening. Chances are they would give him another awakening though, and change that it's Piccolo absorbed, and they'd probably make it Gotenks, or they would make it Gohan or something like that, because that's their logic on stuff. But this guy could really use an awakening, and I think it'd be great. Um, the the next one, or the last one actually, is Wiese that I wanted to talk about. Wiese is he's I know people have used this Wiese specifically to no item Realm of Gods Super Battle Road, which is one of the harder ones actually. Um, but it's because he can stun, and he also fully recovers HP when below 30%. It's only one time, but you can abuse things like this in Super Battle Road. It says once only, sure, but there's 3 or 4 separate fights depending what Super Battle Road you're doing, right? So, but yeah, that's the last card I wanted to get into. Really, they could just make him a slightly better stunner and give him better numbers here instead of 40 and 30% or above. Um, well, the 30% I guess you'd have to keep because he heals, right? But you could give him a second condition on this where he buffs when his HP is 30% or lower. He gives like some sort of crazy buff too, and then he heals at the end of the turn rather than, at the like when right when he comes out, like right when the turn starts. Um, but yeah, that was basically it, guys. I just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown on basically how these videos were gonna go, which is either me showing something like this. I was thinking about, like I said, making a free to play list similar to this one. Um, I know that some of you, or I thought about. I know some people were probably wondering where all the fusion units and the hero cards are, because a lot of those need awakenings. But I left those off because we know that they're probably going to get awakenings in the future. Every time they drop a heroes banner, they give us some more awakenings for those. And the world tournament cards I left off as well for the same reason, because we get awakenings for those every so often. Every couple of world tournaments, or every new world tournament, we get an awakening for an old world tournament card. So I wasn't going to put them on the list. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Feel free to leave a like, a comment, or subscribe to the channel, and have yourselves a wonderful day.